This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
Joining me now, John Brummett, columnist with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Good to be with you, Mr. Brummett. And we have a huge potential decision to discuss today. The Politico reporting that the U.S. Supreme Court is going to overturn Roe v. Wade. What's your initial reaction to what you have read so far?
Well, like a lot of things, my initial reaction was this was to be fully expected, but now that it's happened, it's very jarring because it is a sea change culturally in the country. And on the heels of that, my reaction was, my God, what a leak out of the Supreme Court. I just wrote a paragraph for tomorrow saying it's the biggest leak. First said since the Pentagon Papers, now I think it's bigger than the Pentagon Papers. It's the inner process, previously the sacred process of the Supreme Court, in which they have voted in conference apparently. Samuel Alito has been appointed or nominated himself on the prevailing side to write the opinion. He's written a 98-page draft, and that draft, which is supposed to just be talked about and written and edited and cogitated on privately by the justices, somebody said, let's give it to Politico. And that's a striking thing to do, which politicizes the process and just altogether, just a jaw dropper of a major American event that has implications broadly for all of us, especially the female half of our population.
Yeah. So obviously the way that the news got out is pretty interesting and something unprecedented, quite frankly. But let's talk about the ramifications for women. You and I are two middle-aged white guys talking about this. I want to be really clear that I don't have the same perspective as some women do because I don't walk on my shoes. I want to be sensitive to that. I want to be intentional to that. For those who come down on the pro-choice side of the argument and those that come down on the pro-life side of the argument that are female, what does this say to them? How does this change the world for them in your estimation?
Well, it can only be my estimation, and everybody's got, and people have starkly different estimations, and that's what makes this the dominant and most divisive issue of our time. But I believe that for the U.S. Supreme Court to be in an apparent position to soon take away across the board the precedent of Roe v. Wade and Casey, establishing a woman's right to choose an abortion, to simply take that away and turn it back to the 50 states, do away with any federal right for women in that regard, is an affront to American women, more than an affront. It's deep disregard, it changes 50 years of practice, and it leaves a situation in which there'll be no federal right, but 33 states, including Arkansas, have a trigger that in varying degrees outlaws abortion within that state as soon as it's allowed, leaving 17 in blue states, let's say, 17 states that might reinstate Roe v. Wade essentially through state law, meaning some women in America would have a right that others don't have, unless those in the other 33 states have enough money to get to one of the 17 states. This divides by geography, divides by blue and red, and divides economically an already, I think, near toxically divided country. That's about all I see as the ramification of it.
So let's talk about it politically. This can charge up, it has for decades charged up the Republican base to try to get control of federal government in order to appoint the judges to get this ruling overturned from 1973. For the Democrats, it has been one of those positions that they have long held as, important to their party platform. So what does this do as we're in an election season? We knew that this was going to come out at some point this year. Now that it's out, how do you see it changing the political dynamic? Does it give advantage to one party over the other?
I think it takes the political temperature for the midterm elections across the board, Democrats and Republicans, and raises it about 30 degrees from, say, 80 Fahrenheit to 110, say from 90 to 120, makes it scorching hot, motivates everybody. The Democrats, of course, are more accused. So a liberal justice's clerk, who a generic one, is generally accused of leaking this. We don't know who leaked it. And it's believed by a lot on the right that it was for the tactical advantage, getting that going, getting that cooking right now, because it will inspire Democrats in the midterm. And as you know, in the midterms, the party out of the presidency, normally its voters are more motivated to go stop that president from any success, and it changes Congress. This, I think, at least evens that in terms of motivation, Democrat to Republican. But it also motivates Republicans because you may already see that the Republicans aren't satisfied with this. They're not going to say this, the case, the matter is concluded. They're going to say now that the Alito draft leaves to the politicians the right to decide this issue. That doesn't necessarily mean just the states. And the Republicans are going to push, I think, a bill to establish by statute a federal ban on abortions, before a heartbeat, so to speak, whatever that time is, 6 months, I guess. And then they won't be able to pass it because it can be filibustered, and they can't pass it anyway with Collins and Murkowski and others, but they can keep it going. They can, and so I think the Democrats are going to be fired up by fear and resentment and outrage. I think the Republicans are going to be fired up by a chance to do even more. And I think we're going to have a midterm election for the ages. I mean, this is and I don't mean to overstate. What's been the issue, the cultural, social issue of our lifetime, Roby? It's been a woman's right to choose an abortion. It's been Roe versus Wade. It's what the culture war is all about. It's why so many evangelical conservatives would put up with Trump's behavior, because he delivered the 3 nominations that provided the winning vote that freed Alito to write this draft. So that's what I think. This just markedly ratchets up the midterms this time.
All right. He's John Brummett. He's columnist with the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. As always, good to get your take. Thanks for being available on such short notice.
Well, anytime you want to talk to me, you just call. All right. Or Zoom, as it were. Thank you very much, Roby. Bye-bye.